Taiwan unveils its first ever domestically made submarine. Emotional scenes out of Taipei as firefighters demand more protections. We found out why teachers in Taiwan are feeling a growing unhappiness in a job. Plus, Taiwanese peppers in French chocolate, meet the pastry chef whose fusions are winning international acclaim. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. Taiwan has launched its first domestically built submarine in the port city of Kaohsiung. It's part of an effort to boost the country's domestic defense industry and protect its surrounding waters. Our reporter Jaime Okan was there to see it happen.
Taiwan unveils its first ever domestically made submarine. After 7 years of development, this comes as a milestone in Taiwan's self-defense capabilities and was celebrated by ceremonially launching the new vessel. President Tsai Ing-wen says the achievement defied expectations.
将会永远地记住这一天。过去潜舰国造被认为是不可能的任务，但今天由国人自己设计打造的潜舰，就在大家的眼前，我们做到了。
The Indigenous Defense Submarine, or IDS program, has been in the works since 2016. Before, Taiwan had tried to purchase submarines from the U.S., but with little success. Other countries also feared sparking a reaction from China if they sold a sub directly to Taiwan. So over the past few years, U.S. and U.K. weapons contractors have helped Taiwan design its own submarine in secret.
Taiwan has procured a lot from the United States, the UK, and others, but it has also gained a lot of know-how just from bending the steel and putting a submarine together. And hopefully that also can help push Taiwan's domestic shipbuilding capability forward.
Taiwan has been looking to enhance its domestic defense capabilities and move its reliance away from other countries for its security. This submarine is the first of a fleet of 8 that will monitor and defend against Chinese military activity, which recently saw record highs. Earlier this month, China sent a record 20 naval ships around Taiwan in one day. And Beijing has conducted exercises simulating a naval blockade of the country's main island. It's military activity like this which prompted Taiwan to start developing its own subs. The head of the submarine program says that these vessels will be used to prevent China's access to waters outside the so-called First Island chain and keep China from encircling the country. The submarines would operate in deeper waters towards the east and boost the ability to break a blockade by China, which has the world's largest navy. Protected by deep waters, these submarines and their advanced torpedoes would aim to destroy high-priority ships like China's aircraft carriers.
I mean, there is no doubt that having submarines secretly operating in and around those waters, that is going to make China second and third guess its planning.
Taiwan has a relatively small defense budget, so these submarines are a huge investment. The first submarine costs over $1.5 billion US, and the entire program is worth up to $16 billion. Some analysts are worried that this could mean spending too much on the wrong systems.
You can still come up with clever ways that they could be useful, but then you have to ask yourself the question, what's the opportunity cost? For the cost of a submarine, what else could I have purchased that might have given me a lot more when it comes to being able to delay, degrade, and deny that invasion? And the answer is quite a bit.
But local security analysts disagree and say that submarines are vital to protecting the surrounding waters.
潜水舰它在就是面对中国威胁台湾的时候，它可以在巴士海峡跟宫古海峡就是封锁住解放军的这个海军进入台湾的东部。
While the first submarine is ready, it won't officially enter service until 2024. But the hope is that this new vessel and the ones that follow will prove to be a valuable investment in defending Taiwan's waters. Joseph Wu and Jaime Okan in Kaohsiung City for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan says the threats it faces today are the same threats the world will face tomorrow. The country's foreign minister spoke with international media on Thursday. Stash Butler was there.
Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu wants to work more closely with countries in Southeast Asia to counter what he calls growing Chinese expansionism. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, and Taiwan has recently detected a record number of Chinese warplanes operating around Taiwan. At the same time, China's Coast Guard and military vessels in the South China Sea, which China claims as part of its territory, have been clashing with the coast guards and fishing vessels of other countries, most notably the Philippines. Now, Joseph Wu, the foreign minister of Taiwan, sees those as part of one and the same issue, and he singles out the Philippines for praise in dealing with that issue. He says he wants to work more closely with the Philippines, but more broadly that countries in Southeast Asia should understand that the challenges facing Taiwan are the challenges that they will face in the future too. On election interference, a common theme there as well, Joseph Wu, the foreign minister, sees China as interfering in Taiwan's upcoming elections coming in January through cognitive warfare and fake news. Now, he thinks that kind of interference is not going to succeed, but nonetheless, he has a stark message for other countries in the region and around the world who are watching this democratic process, that if Chinese election interference can succeed in Taiwan, it can happen anywhere else in the world. Easton Chen and Stash Butler in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Firefighters have protested in front of the cabinet building in Taipei. The rescue workers are pushing to form a union after a factory explosion killed 4 firefighters last week. They blame the deaths on breaches of safety rules. John Van Tres reports.
Outside the cabinet building, simmering anger boils over. These firefighters say it's time for the governments to get serious about protecting them. At the top of their list of demands, the right to form a union with a say in working conditions. Current law says that can't happen, and the rescue workers want that law to change here and now. But the officials sent out to meet them say there are procedures and proper channels to go through first. It hasn't gone over well.
各位也不需要这么激动哈。
为什么不能激动？我们什么时候可以进去开会了？都死多少人了？
A fire in the far south of the country ignited the firefighters' anger. A factory caught fire, then exploded in Pingdong County over the weekend. 4 firefighters are among the dead. Since the disaster, it's become increasingly clear there were missed opportunities to save lives. First responders got incomplete information about the flammable chemicals inside. Now it's emerged the factory wasn't even zoned for dangerous substances, leading to inspectors carrying out the wrong kind of safety checks. For some here, it's opened up old wounds from other factory fires.
我们分队，跟我同一个分队的3个学长死在里面。我们台湾的违法工厂、违章工厂这么多，还是每年在增加。那这些雇主有什么责任？他们没有。
They see a pattern of lax enforcement of safety rules, which firefighters sometimes pay for with their lives. The Interior Minister says this will change, with dispatchers getting reports on factory contents. But firefighters here aren't stepping down from their union demands. After a silent protest, 4 firefighters were allowed inside to talk with officials. But the protesters say they're not going to stop at talking. They say they're determined to get the law changed so they can form a union and save their comrades from more preventable deaths. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The Confucius Temple in Taipei has hosted a ceremony to mark the Chinese philosopher's birth. Taipei Mayor Jiang Wan-an joined the procession to pay his respects to the influential thinker. This year marks the 2,573 years since Confucius was born, and it's no coincidence September 28th is also Teachers' Day in much of the Chinese-speaking world. The occasion celebrates the efforts of educators, where students often present teachers with gifts to show their gratitude. Even as Taiwan celebrates its teachers, a survey shows quite a few of them are not happy with their work. Jeremy Olivier explains why.
At this temple in Yilan County, teachers perform a ritual to honor Confucius. It's a scene that can be observed across Taiwan each year on the ancient Chinese philosopher's birthday, also known as Teachers' Day. The day honors the country's educators, which have long held a high status in society. But many teachers are not in the best spirits these days. A recent survey from local education nonprofits found that 30% of elementary and junior high school teachers are unhappy in their work. The biggest reason for this? Students' dysfunctional family life. Analysts say students not getting enough support at home adds to teachers' stress. The survey also found that teachers frequently work 10 or more hours a day, and a big chunk of that time is taken up by administrative tasks, with what many say is too much or irrelevant paperwork.
我们常常在学校遇到，明明属于国小端的公文，却发给所有的国中，或者是专属于国中学生的活动，或者是高中学生的活动，却又发给了所有的国小。
The government says it will work on addressing some of the teachers' concerns.
持续来去留意跟注意，那尽量去减少现场行政老师的一些负担。
Local students are often given a heavy workload and spend more time in the classroom than many of their Western peers. A growing number say they experience academic stress. But this survey shows teachers are also feeling the pressure of too many demands on their time and energy. They're now looking to the government to ease their burden and help them do the job they were hired for. Chris Ma and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Almost all students in Taiwan attend cram schools, usually about dry subjects like math or science. But at one school in Hsinchu, a teacher is breathing new life into the classroom by introducing kids to unusual animals. Sandy Chi has the story.
A tortoise, a gecko, and a bearded dragon. These reptiles are part of the curriculum at a particular cram school. Here in Taiwan's tech hub of Hsinchu City, students aged 5 to 12 learn how to interact with animals. The children are both excited and nervous to play with the reptiles, especially when holding this albino Burmese python. 26-year-old Zhang Taitai has been sharing her knowledge and passion for reptiles for more than 5 years. Her classes are held mainly in cram schools and the local science park. The sessions give children a chance to interact with animals, since many young people in Taiwan rarely experience the wild.
希望可以传达我的这些正向的观念给这些孩子，然后再来就是让他们可以继续传承他们对动物的这份爱。
Life education classes like this one have become more common in recent years. What makes this one special is that children can bring their own pets to interact with their classmates. In today's session, over 10 species are gathered here.
我想让菠萝蜜交到其他乌龟朋友，
因为它真的长得看起来很吓人，然后我有亲手摸到它，让我感觉很开心。
因为台台老师带很多动物来，让我看还有摸，所以我很喜欢台台老师的课。
Some parents show their support by joining in the classes themselves.
其实让他们多接触动物、接触自然，是让他们可以去对这个世界有更多的了解啦，培养他们的一些责任心。
Zhang says taking care of pets is actually the best way for children to learn about life.
就是借由在照顾动物的时候，其实我们自己就会成长，所以我觉得这都是互相学习的一个过程。
This cram school session is not only about getting to know your pets, but also gaining respect for other life. By sharing her passion for cold-blooded animals, Zhang hopes to teach young children to always have a warm and loving heart. Kamashu, Pichi Zhuang, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Stay with us here on TaiwanPlus. Still ahead.
Chip firms around the world are fighting to get the best engineers, and I talked to budding talents about what they're looking for in an employer.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world.
charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030. A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. 3 of Taiwan's major online banks have reported tens of millions of dollars in losses. It turns out consumers are not as digitally savvy as expected. Next Bank, Rakuten, and Line Bank reported combined losses of over $210 million for 2021. Taiwan may be a high-tech hub, but consumers still largely rely on cash and physical banks. But there's hope. Analysts predict online banks will break even in the next 5 years.
那未来随着这个时间过去，它很多设备的摊提费用会逐渐的降下来。
Chip firms are competing for talent to keep innovation on track. In Taiwan, that problem is made worse by fewer students going into chip-related fields. Joyce Tseng went to find out what the country's budding engineers are looking for in an employer.
Morris Wu is working to get his PhD at one of Taiwan's first semiconductor academies. He was one of the few chosen to travel to Eindhoven in the Netherlands for a chance to learn from Dutch chip experts.
We visit ASML, NXP, and Smart Photonics, and some other worldwide international companies.
Though Taiwan dominates in making chips, the global semiconductor industry relies on many countries putting their strengths together. Dutch chip firm ASML, for example, is the only company in the world that makes EUV lithography equipment, machines that are used in the most expensive step of making advanced chips. But beyond technical expertise, for Morris, there was another takeaway from his time abroad.
In Taiwan, we always think the engineer and they work very late every day, but in Netherlands, the engineer just went home very early.
Taiwan's intensive work culture is especially strong in the semiconductor industry. That's a tone largely set by world-leading chipmaker TSMC, where some engineers live in factory dorms during the week and only return home on weekends.
That is something that you cannot do in the United States or anywhere else.
But as chip firms, including TSMC, expand their operations at home and abroad, recruiting enough skilled engineers is becoming a tall order. And some next-gen talents are using the chance to study overseas to gauge the merits of different work cultures.
In Netherlands or in the Europe part, they actually stimulate your critical thinking, then encourage you to have your own opinion.
The working culture is also very different. I want to be a work-life balanced engineer.
The next generation of chip engineers is preparing to bring their valuable advanced skills to the marketplace. And some are weighing the value of that work against the time it takes away from the rest of their life. Justin Wu and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea has enshrined the development of nuclear weapons in its constitution. The change was adopted unanimously by the country's rubber-stamped parliament, the Supreme People's Assembly. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un stressed the importance of speeding up production of nuclear weapons to deter what he called U.S. provocations. Kim also visited Russia earlier this month, where he and Russian President Vladimir Putin pledged to boost military ties. Officials worry that Pyongyang is seeking help from Moscow for its nuclear weapons program. Talks between the U.S. and China are improving, according to a spokesperson for the U.S. State Department. Here's what he said.
We have seen an increase in the tempo of our conversations with the Chinese government across a number of fronts since the Secretary traveled to Beijing in June.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to Beijing earlier this year came at a time of high tensions between the U.S. and China. The two countries disagree on several issues, including relations between China and Taiwan. Miller went on to say that there will be more meetings in the near future, and there's an opportunity for both countries to address shared concerns. China is proposing new screen time rules, which would see smartphone usage for those aged under 18 reduced to as little as 40 minutes. Rosie Greninger has the story.
Every parent knows the sweet silence of a child zoned in on their smartphone. But it could soon become even harder for parents in China to keep their kids entertained, as the country intensifies its battle against minors' screen time. Chinese regulators want a minor mode placed on smartphones to limit children under the age of 8 to 40 minutes per day, ages between 8 and 16 to 1 hour, and ages up to 18, 2 hours on their device. Any more than that and the device will shut down. Children would also be unable to access their smartphones between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And there would be specific content regulations for each age group. Some may find these limits very harsh, but child psychologist Sharon Yan says she agrees with regulators.
I think it's really beneficial for the government to take step on these restriction measures.
China's proposed rules are the latest push to prevent screen addiction among minors. Back in 2021, a limit was placed on video games, and social media platforms have been told to filter content for those under 18. But questions have been raised about the effectiveness of the scheme, with some concerned it won't help kids kick the addiction and will put an extra workload on parents.
希望有更丰富的一些课外活动，还有一些亲子活动可以提供给家长和小朋友。那他们不需要每天待在家里，可以更多的出去走走，呼吸一下新鲜空气，或者是去跟其他小朋友有一些社交。
The proposal has already had a major impact on tech shares in China, causing them to plunge after it was announced in August. It's still unknown how the draft law would be implemented, if it would be the responsibility of device makers or app developers.
这个政策是相对来说是一个很好的政策，但是这个规定我觉得不是特别友善，或者是很难实行。
Although the plan may not be popular with all children, 6-year-old Arissa Yan doesn't seem too bothered.
主要带我出去就可以了。
Alex Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
When you think of Taiwan, you probably don't think of French pastries. But a French chef living in Taipei has recently been recognized for excellence in French dessert. Leslie Liao paid him a visit.
Chocolate truffles with spicy peppercorns, and macaron with wasabi and grapefruit. Chef Cyril Courant has been making his creations in Taiwan for 13 years, taking inspiration from local ingredients.
Sometimes eating in a restaurant, sharing with some other friend, that's where I discover the Macao pepper. And straight away when I smell it, I was thinking, well, that will go great with the chocolate.
He and his wife Sabine own 2 French pastry shops in Taipei. The pair have run their business for a decade now, but the chef's journey started much earlier than that.
And I got the passion from my dad working in his restaurant. And then I went to pastry. I learned about pastry and chocolate and ice cream.
Sabine, on the other hand, has a seasoned background in food service.
My parents actually already were in the business with a restaurant, and then I always swear to myself, oh, I will never go in that business.
The pair moved to Taiwan after stints in France, Germany, London, and China.
We come to Taiwan with my wife already a few times before, and we really enjoy the people. It was very friendly, and the food, the culture, the tradition.
Their work includes redefining Taiwan's understanding of French desserts.
Everybody we asked, do you like macarons? Oh yeah, they're very cute. I said, no, I don't talking about the look, I'm talking about, do you like to eat them? And then the answer was always, oh no, they are too sweet. So I took that feedback to Cyril, and my husband said, that's the wrong idea of a macaron. A macaron don't have to be sweet.
Cyril's creative concoctions not only earned him recognition in Taiwan, but also worldwide. Earlier this month, he was inducted into Rallied, a prestigious association of 100 elite chefs dedicated to preserving and advancing the art of French dessert internationally. Entry into Rallied begins with a recommendation from a current member.
In 2019, one of the chefs visited me, and we had a talk, and I asked him about the process, and he really motivated me and support me to send my application.
Acceptance into the organization is dependent on much more than a chef's creation. It considers the shop as a whole.
It's not only him, actually. I have to say it's as well service, because they check as well that the service fulfills certain criteria, okay? So I'm very proud to be in it as well.
Cyril and Sabine have achieved excellence doing something they love, an accomplishment not everyone can lay claim to. And their recognition as one of the world's premier dessert shops can only help elevate Taiwan's culinary standards. Patrick Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, today we'll leave you with images of Bhutan's Tim Pu Setchu Festival. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.